Yes, I
But
started recording, Jill. Yes, I started.
yes.
See, Jill, I understand that people are very precious for us, nice people. But there is,
Hmm.
you know, my opinion. To be frank, I hasn't changed it, and I'm not going to change.
I
Hmm.
can't hear.
Do you hear me?
Yeah,
Well,
it is a little.
is everything okay with sound?
You're a little echoey, Maria.
Uh huh.
I don't know if you have the mic is not picking up real good.
Okay. If I do like this, is it better? You hear me better?
I can hear you. Okay. Can you hear okay, Claudia? Can you hear me okay, Claudia?
Yeah.
Can
Mm.
you hear us okay, Claudia? It might be you can't hear. I'm not seeing you now either. We're not
No, it's
hearing you
mine.
either.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's my. I just wrote you something. I'm gonna try to make a
Oh,
phone call.
okay. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
I'm gonna do that.
um.
but
Yes.
but yeah, what we were just yeah, now that we're recording, just to recap real quickly, um, one of the things that we were talking about was the idea of teaching teachers. Who else is having trouble here? I'm sorry. People are emailing me in between. They're having trouble getting on. I am
Jill.
on the
Maybe
screen.
I.
Okay, okay. That's Glenn. Glenn is with us. Glenn
Yeah.
just isn't
Yeah.
on screen. So okay. So hey, Glenn. But yeah, get the idea of teaching teachers who are not English speaking as a primary, that struggle with the English. Um, and yeah, I guess, yeah, one of the things Shelley and I talked about is we kind of have to find a way to deal with it, find a middle ground. And one of the things that the two teachers so far that have that situation are Patricia in Brazil and Felipe, who I know Felipe is not going to be able to be here. Um, but Felipe uh, and Patricia have people that are primary French or Portuguese speaking that would be great teachers, would be able to teach in their country very well. But there's no way currently for them to learn or be taught.
Yes.
Who
You see
is
what
on there echoing
I
me?
think Mari is growing now. Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear what I'm talking? Yes. Is
Okay.
everything okay?
So,
Um. I just share my idea and my feeling. Maybe I'm mistaken.
mhm.
It is you decide, and other teachers also. But I am also not English speaking. Yes, I am also from other land and other culture. But see,
Yeah.
Mars is growing. It is growing all over the world. And now it is becoming difficult. It will become difficult to preserve the wholeness. Now we are struggling for that. We use the same PowerPoint presentation for teaching. We don't add
Mhm.
anything, we just translate it. We are in contact with you, Shelley, and other teachers. And in my opinion, we have to be more often in contact. We should, and I think we should be obliged to do it. I know we are all busy. We are all teaching. We are all teaching in universities. We have family, friends. But anyway, I think people should find time to join once in a month. It should be a must because we have to
Mhm.
think about preserving wholeness. But if we have brilliant person, but non-speaking English person, I just want to ask how they are going to be in contact with the institution, or it should be some other interpreter or some other stuff. Anyway, it makes difficulties.
Yeah, Maria, I'm getting about half of what you're saying because there is an echo. And I mean, I have hearing issues, so it could just be me with my earbuds trying to hear, but it is distorted. So I'm only getting about half of what you're saying. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'll
I
try.
don't know if a microphone would help or.
Okay, I'll bring my microphone. I think I will try to keep the
Okay,
microphone
okay,
better. I'm sorry.
because I'm getting about half.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Just a moment. I'll bring it and.
Yeah, I'm thinking I heard Yeah, who is that can hear perfect? There's people on so many different levels of chat. Okay. Um,
Hi, Jill. Can you hear me?
yes, yes. Is this Glenn?
Yes. Then I don't know
Glenn,
why
you can hear okay?
now I can hear you, but I can't see myself. I guess I'm not on the screen.
Yeah, I don't see
I
you,
don't
your
know
camera.
why. I don't know what happened. Usually
Huh.
it's quite easy to log in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're able to hear okay. You're
Yeah,
hearing everything. Yeah, it's
you're
coming through
hearing
distorted.
everything.
Yeah, and this is
Jerry,
Claudia. I can hear everything. I'm on the phone.
Okay.
Hi, Claudia.
Yeah. Hi, Glenn. How you doing?
Not bad.
Sherry, can you hear okay? Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got part of what Maria, it sounded like she was saying that, yeah, that basically trying to meet more often and coordinate better between us. You know, having more frequent teacher meetings at least. Okay. So let's try it now, dear. Not switched over yet.
I can't hear anything now.
Not yet. I don't know where Shelly is. I just got off the phone with her. I sent her the link again. Got my people. Okay, Gina's on here too, it looks like. Gina. There's Gina. Yay. Okay. How's it working? Everybody, can you hear me, Gina? Okay. How about you, Maria? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, I'm not getting your mic. Let me look and see what's up with the mic. Well, it looks like your mic's turned on. I don't know why it's not coming through. We were having a few technical difficulties with. I mean, if I'm the only one having trouble hearing Maria at this point.
I can't hear Maria either.
Yeah. Okay.
Is Maria
okay.
talking? I heard her when we were on the
I can't
computer.
hear her now. Before she had the headset, she was using her computer mic, and it was coming through with like this echo, recording it. Let me try it again.
Yes.
Terrible.
I can hear you. It's just harder to understand. So
Yes.
maybe if you just slow down a little, maybe it'll come through a little clearer.
Let us.
Won't run in because it's like running all together for me. It's like just one constant sound. I wasn't getting any distinction.
Okay, I don't know why my mic doesn't work.
Okay.
So I just share my idea as I'm also English.
I'm getting you good now. Great.
So I'm against the idea to have non-speaking teachers. And
yes.
My reason, I hasn't changed my mind, Jill. I sent you a letter, you know about it. And I just want to share with others. I think very important now as Mari community is growing internationally and growing all over the world, to preserve wholeness, to preserve this unity and wholeness. And for that, all teachers
Me too.
speak English. And to be frank, I don't see any problems in learning English. Yes, it would take some time, but if you would offer to learn Chinese, I would agree it is impossible. But if really these people are so good for teaching, they also have to be in contact with all of us, with the institution. To be in these changes, because Mari is changing. It is a life system. It is not a dogma. Yes, it is something alive. and you should be in touch with these changes. You should be in touch with new research with Mari, with new.
And that, yeah, that's a good point, Maria. One of the things that, yeah, we kind of discussed, Shelley and I too, was that the only way any Mari teacher or teacher to be would come into the system would be through someone who is already established. So let's just say, for example, you had a fabulous person. They just were very limited in their English. They maybe had some ability, but limited, but they would be a wonderful teacher. Then we would say, okay, we will let you teach the teacher portion.
Mhm.
And you would be able to keep the funding. I mean, there would still be teacher training right now is $2,000. $1,000 goes to the person doing the training and spending the time, i.e., it's been me at this point, and then the other $1,000 goes into the Mari creative system, and that's what we support Mari with. So it would be. What you would be doing they would still be paying that same fee. They would be paying it to Mari Creative, and then we would pay, say, you, Maria, to be responsible for training that person. So, you're going to be able to, have some financial stake in it, but that, it's similar to having the website and having the Mari Russia and having Mari Brazil and having, that's a responsibility that you're managing your site, you're managing your practitioners, you're responsible for that. So extending that to teaching Mari teachers and then reporting back to Mari Main and having them communicate with us as you're using you as a translator. Like, say, for example, Felipe teaches his wife, who is wonderful, and a lot of us had a chance to meet her. He teach her, she would join us, but he would be there to translate. And Patricia with her people, from Brazil, who we have met, we have met the two that she's thinking of. She would be there to act as a translator. And so it might require a little bit more, interaction at that point. They would, at that point, the biggest question would be, well, okay, if they're paying their teacher fees and you're regulating that along with everything else every year, that would likely go to you. And what Mari gets out of it for support would be more likely just whatever we make on materials and supplies. And we still have the copyright fees. Those of you that are doing the manual in foreign languages, we're still paying those copyright fees to us. So that's Mari gets that, plus providing the cards and the boards. So that's kind of the energy exchange that Mari Creative gets out of it. Does that make sense at all? I mean, that you would be taking on responsibilities as part of your contract as teaching the teachers of Mari, and in your country, it would become part of that country-based Mari contract.
I see, Jill. To be frank, I'm not prepared to take somebody non-speaking to be a teacher under me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is, maybe it should be as some cases, like person, this lady, and people who Patricia offers. Okay, but I don't think it should become the regular practice.
No, I think it's all I think it should all be somewhat, like our contracts with online, people that are teaching online. It's not a given that every teacher is allowed to teach online. You're just not. It's a privilege that we extend from Mari Creative, and there is a separate contract for that. Mm-hmm. And right now, I think we've got 3 or 4 or 5 different contracts. I mean, from the general contract. So every time you add a layer on, you are agreeing and signing a new level of contract also. Yeah, so that it further defines and describes what your responsibilities are and the people that you would be training, just like training practitioners are also, agreeing to, this is the way we're going to practice Mari. Like we get the ethics statements from them. Well, if you're teaching a teacher, they would have a contract with Mari.
Yes.
And in a sense, with you and know their responsibilities, to Mari. If you're going to do, and this is my biggest concern. It has been from the get-go that I don't want this to be like that unregulated. People get certified as teachers and they go out there and they teach willy-nilly, whatever they want to, however they want to, like Reiki training has become, unfortunately, because it really dilutes it down. And Mari is just, it's too involved for that. So we're trying to find a way that we can not restrict it, but still, kind of regulate and have a degree of quality control. That's what we're kind of shooting for, is that, not restriction, but have some quality control.
Definitely. And I have another question. How much another teacher is needed? See, Russia is a big...
That's a good point. That's a good point, because we're not busting the doors down with new practitioners, people.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. And I wish Patricia was here, because I did want to ask her this, and Felipe too. How many new French-speaking practitioners do we have?
Exactly my point, Jill. See.
And so is this because we don't have French-speaking teachers? And all of a sudden, if I get a bunch of, you teach your wife to teach, and is she going to bring us like, new French-speaking practitioners? If we teach, Portuguese-speaking, or, like you say, for Russia, hey, I'm covering all my needs here in Russia. I don't need another teacher right now in Russia. I'm not getting people knocking down my door to do Mari training.
Yeah.
I think most teachers agree with that. I mean, it's,
I'm struggling.
we want to make sure that, and realistically, I do cover that with new teachers. I have a lot of people inquire about being a teacher. The first thing I address with them is, it's a lot of work there's not a lot of money in it. It's not like you're going to get rich here. I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work trying to get people are not knocking the doors down.
Yes.
To spend that, to spend the money. And unfortunately, it costs what it costs. The quality of the training is there. It's a very involved instrument.
Yeah.
Period. I'm not apologizing for that anymore. It's not like going to a weekend training where you come out of, a box, and now all of a sudden I can do pookie fluky training.
Yes.
It's not. It's a much more dedicated instrument. And if you don't want to pay the money, I don't want you. It's that simple. I don't want you if you can't come up with the money, if it's not that important to you. This is just not another tool in your box kind of instrument.
Yeah.
It's not. And it's not just another tool in your box and add it to EMDR and NLP and all that. No, it's more involved than that. And, it's going to take that kind of dedication for it too. So I'm off my box. Sorry.
Absolutely agree. And see, Paul and Patricia, they both speak their language. I mean, Paul speaks French and Patricia speaks Brazil. I think they can manage to train people. How many would come to study? 100? I don't believe it. Even in Brazil or in Canada. I'm struggling. In big Russia, it is actually, psychology is very popular here. We have plenty of varieties of different training courses and so on. I'm struggling every half a year to make a small group. I have to pay a lot of efforts to bring people to study. Another
Mhm.
point. For how many years Paul and Patricia teaching? See, I started it when my son was born. So actually it was February 2014. So now I'm trained more than 50 people, but
Mhm.
I know only 25 accomplished the supervisor section first.
Mhm.
From these 25 people, only 10 really works. Another, they don't
Mhm.
confirm their certificate. I know they are not working. And to be frank, only few of people, only few, really works with Mari, really
Mhm.
involved in it. They really
Mhm.
appreciate it. They move in it. And what for? We need just to train so many people. If we are going to be, how to say, this Mari Kid sailors, yes, I agree. But I don't think we need it. I don't think we should give this precious knowledge to people who are not going to work. And this is
Mhm.
my big concern with Mari community in Russia. I continuously say, let us work together. Let us do some research work. Don't expect that you will make some huge money. Just be, how to say, be faithful to the method. Work with it, feel it, develop it. It is not so exciting. See, but many people ask me, can we teach? And I know they are not going to work with the instrument.
I know too. I get it all the time, Maria.
So I'm still,
Uh,
I still cannot agree with non-English teachers. Maybe I'm.
well, Shelley just came on, and she's coming on as a presenter too. So we have all kinds of presenters here, Shelley.
Hello.
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 I don't know what you did
You
to our
see me?
screen. Now
Why?
we
What
can't.
happened?
Do you have your camera turned on? Can you see us?
Webcam.
Yeah. Hit the little.
Webcam.
Yeah. Because you took over the
Okay.
meeting, dear. You're in charge now. There you are.
Oh,
When you
no,
logged
we don't
in,
want
there you
that.
go.
Oh, I see. Hi, Maria. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Jim.
Yeah, your computer
Hi,
is
Shelley.
now controlling, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I
Well, how come you?
Jill.
Yeah.
Just send me another.
Everybody that has access to the account as a presenter, when they log on, it's taking over the presenter role. So,
Oh,
Shelley, now you're the
okay, so it's-
presenter. We're seeing what you're seeing.
Okay. What?
Okay.
You can see what I can see. I can see 6 of us.
Yeah.
And you've got one.
And
You've
I
got
did
one on
hear
the phone,
There's
Claudia.
more on. There's more on. There's just people that are on
hi,
by
Claudia.
phone. Mhm.
Hi.
Hi,
Oh.
Michelle. I'm Glenn.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I did hear you, Maria, and we go back and forth about that. I just don't think today, on this day, we're going to make a decision about it. It's I can see it both ways.
Well, and I think the point that really for a concern might be for the teachers, and maybe this is something that a lot of us that are active teachers, I mean, getting more practitioners.
Yes.
Yeah, having more people, quality people, rather than focusing on whether or not we need more teachers. And I think that's Maria's point, is we really, or like, hey, we've got so many people here to teach, we need more teachers. And so our focus shouldn't be so concerned with, immediately anyway, whether or not we are providing a way of having non-English speaking teachers developed, as much as, where's the population to serve? That's why I was saying I was hoping that Patricia was on from Brazil, because she was one of the ones asking about having, the ability to teach teachers that are not proficient in English but Portuguese. okay, where's all the people in Brazil though? I mean, we have not had a floodgate of people, coming into Mari practitioners from Brazil that would say, oh, hey, we need another teacher there really bad. And I think that's Maria's point.
Yes.
That it's like we're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse. We don't have the practitioners to teach. So why are we worried about adding on teachers?
Yes.
Is that kind of in a nutshell?
How many practitioners? How many practitioners has Patricia had, like over the past year? Do you know the number?
Maybe a handful.
Because that is a region that she's in where there's so much love and reverence for Nisa de la Salviera, and she was working around the same time as Joan Kellogg. They have this huge museum called the Art of the Unconscious. There's just this
well,
climate.
and that could be if you have a plan. My thought would be to Patricia, well, do you have a plan that would help you grow Mari Brazil if you had more teachers working with you down there? Is that the block to getting more practitioners? Why are we not seeing more practitioner activity in Brazil? Is it because you feel like if you were able to develop teachers in the area that it would open up? I guess that is a good question.
Yes.
Because it might be a very good climate that embraces this type of thing, but Patricia may be very busy in her own life and just not putting herself out there.
Or not have the contacts to tap into it, and if she were able to, that's a possibility too. So that's what I said. Unfortunately, she's not here right now to answer that, but those are good questions. Those are good questions that, because the bottom line is, you don't need teachers if you aren't having an audience to teach.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the point. And moreover, I think we should concentrate more on quality, not of teaching, not only of teaching. We work with this Mari method. Now it is not a method, it is a test. But it is not at all a test. It is a method, it is an approach. But to make it on the scientific level, to make it admitted by others, we should do something together. Practitioners should also practice, write articles, work at it, develop the method, not only sell this Mari Kits, not only spread this Mari Kits, see. And we need this different level of Mari. I think it is needed.
I agree with you, Maria. I absolutely, like epistemologically, what's the epistemology around Mari, the bottom lines?
Yeah.
And it's really hard to articulate that for many of the news. It's there in little pieces, and personally, I'm actually trying to pull it all together to have a cohesive right brain epistemology.
Yeah.
I'm working on that now.
Let us do.
But so much of what I'm interested in is that.
Let us do some co-work together. Some maybe research work, some publications which can present Mari from other side, and then people will come automatically. And if there is a need for more teachers, yes, they are welcome. But now, what for? I think you all know that people who don't want to work, they love to teach. It is common in every profession, here also. And this instrument is in my opinion, in my experience, is not so welcomed in the mainstream psychology. It deals with ancient principles which are against modern civilization. See, and we cannot make it so popular. We don't need it. We just develop it as it is. Or we have to change it according to this society asks. So, but it would change the essence of the method. What for? Just to make it popular. I'm totally against it. This is just my idea, my feeling.
To make it popular. I didn't hear everything you said.
No.
Maria, say
Yes.
your last sentence.
Yeah, I would say we are not interested to change Mari to make it popular.
No. Just try to explain why it's not as popular because we value left brain things. Is that what you're saying? And it's really like a deeper issue than just Mari. I think.
I think
know how to value right brain things.
yes, but
I think it's also important to, it's not just a right brain instrument, it's a whole brain body instrument.
Well, yeah. So right. You're right. Of course, I just wrote that yesterday. I wrote whole brain, but
yes,
I just meant in the big sense of body based and
What's
that
so exciting right now
than conscious.
in neuroanatomy and what's emerged in the past 10 years with functional MRIs and brainwave states, and in the process, the way that we descend into an alpha theta state, I think that would be one area to ground the process, is looking neurologically what is happening in this process. And we don't have to have people hooked up. I mean, it would be great if we could have people hooked up to machines and actually be getting the data from that. Maybe that will come. It will come. That will come. But we can also know that just working within the circle, creating the somnambulous state that happens with all of the symbols and the colors, that consciousness descends. And this is connecting it to neuroanatomy in a way that would be very fascinating for people and very, very grounding. And talking about levels of consciousness, right? And how this is engaging the whole thinking, feeling, sensing, and intuitive processes. And I was just writing this morning about the inferior and superior functions, right? And how actually on the board, we're engaging all four functions, even our inferior function.
Yes.
And Jung didn't think that was possible, but it is possible. And this is what activates the transcendent function. So weaving in, and I don't agree with everything that Jung said. And in fact, the more I, dive down this rabbit hole, there's some things that are very contradictory to Mari, even with color. That Jung, his associations with typology and colors is not at all. Jung, and he doesn't have to be right 100% about everything. Things evolve and change, and we learn more and more. But I think that's another wonderful area to ground the work in, is his guiding theories, and structure of consciousness and the collective. And the superconsciousness as well is another area that is so much a part of this, that we enter this portal that is beyond the body. So then, there's even this sort of quantum information that can inform. So this is the kinds of things that we could develop together and write about together.
Yes. That was my point, to be focused on making Mari more popular and confirming it, not just popularizing, but confirming with research, with the work connected.
Maria, I've been wanting to do that for 15 years, honey. So frustrating for me.
Yes, that is why I'm telling, we don't need so many teachers, because people will not come so many. It is not according to the mainstream culture, not only psychology, mainstream culture. For that, we don't need so many people. Let us focus on quality. Let us make a strong community of professionals who develop this method, who works at it, who shows to other people, see how wonderfully it works. We proved it physically. We proved it with our science.
I have an incredible, brilliant, creative student right now who's just started her master's program in art therapy at Antioch. And I think that really working with these people who are in master's programs, they may not have finished, but to have Mari, she's in love with Mari, crazy in love like nobody I've ever seen before. But people like this who then can use their training and everything, that whatever interests them as their thesis, you know, to focus on their thesis is very motivating for people. And to have that guidance, so I'm going to be guiding her and supporting her through her thesis process. And even PhD level, but to maybe start thinking in terms of that population of students who need to have an inquiry topic and to support them in using Mari as what they're going to end up.
You know, this Claudia, so, of course, I'm one of the people who teaches in graduate art therapy programs, art diagnosis. They have to be introduced enough to Mari for that to be something they get. So they would have to do a Mari training before they do that, right? And when they're in graduate school, of course, the students I have when they're in these graduate programs, they don't have time to do a Mari training, even though they might be be something that they want to learn after they leave.
Well, my student is in graduate school right now, and she's made the time for it. And I finished mine when I finished Mari training when I was in my PhD program, so it can be done.
It can be done, but in terms of teaching all the students that I've done, it's not that it can't be done, but most of the students are not going to do that, even though they are certainly interested. They're not going to be able to. Because I've taught in 3 different programs, and 25 to 75 students a year. And they're curious, but they're just overwhelmed on the whole. So of course, someone like you, there'll be occasional people who do that, but it would be maybe more realistic for someone to finish a master's degree, do the Mari training, and then go to do a PhD. In terms of
Claudia, just hearing you talk, it was occurring to me that. Okay, first of all, I want to say, because Carla, you're kind of new on the thing, and I would say like 10 years ago, I went to a conference and I had a whole small pamphlet targeted just for graduate schools, and I gave it to every graduate school professor that was at the conference. It's not like I haven't tried that audience. But so now I'm thinking perhaps we could reconnect with the graduate schools and people in either master's or PhD Mari-related programs, and say that if they were willing to do their master's thesis or PhD dissertation on Mari, that we would give them free training. In other words, a Mari would pay the teacher who taught them. That might be one way to
Well, and here's another thought. Here's another thought. I teach at Ursuline. I teach, and they get credit for it. Ursuline, art therapy program. I'm teaching at the master's level, Mari training, and they're getting credit for it, and they are taking that class. And we talked this last year. I've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years now, and we were doing it every other year. This last year, we had such an overwhelming response because people are starting to hear about it and ask about it, and want to take the training as part of their master's course in that community. So it's like even cumulative over the few years that the people in that program are sharing with other people, and the pressure is coming on the university and the staffing to provide this. So Gail was the department head. She's actually talking about trying to do it every year now. It's a summer program. We do it every summer, so they do get credit for it. So maybe instead of looking at getting that quality of person, it would be nice if we could. Yvette, I wish she was here this morning too. She's in California. She's a professor at one of the art colleges out, master's programs in California, and we were hoping she would be able to, that was her thought, was to introduce it into the university setting too. I realize it's a challenge to do that, but.
Well, I can tell you what the, since I've I've been doing this for years, and certainly I've been into Mari for years.
Yes.
That the programs I teach in Pratt, SVA, and the New School program, which closed a few years ago. It was a certificate program, but I taught there for like 15, 17 years. The regular master's program, which is Pratt and SVA, it's possible that might be something that could be done during the summer. I haven't been able to do that in terms of my own time in the summer. But they are so tied up with how many credits they have to have related to ADA, which I'm sure other people are quite familiar, that there is not a stitch of time to even, like, my art diagnosis class should be twice as long. As many people feel about their courses. It's not just my wonderful course. Most of the teachers feel like their courses should be longer to really cover the material they have. And they don't have a stitch of free credits, and credits are so expensive. Now, there was a chance at the New School, and then the program closed. So that's just the practical dimension of it. I certainly let people know about Mari as much as I'm able to within the confines of teaching art diagnosis, and also the pressure, as a master's level teacher in art diagnosis, as you know, is getting more and more and more and more quantitative rather than qualitative, and it's always a fine line between the two. I love hearing about research. I'm very right-brain, symbolic, qualitatively oriented by nature, but of course I understand research is important. I want to hear about all the research on Mari, that there possibly is. But, I can only, as you know, do so much in terms of introducing people because it's limited. So I'm not sure, I don't have an exact solution to that. As far as that goes, I agree with you. It would be great. As I said, when the New School had the program, we were getting ready to do a Mari course, and then the bloody program shut. Anyway.
Not too long ago, I collected all of the addresses for the departments of expressive therapies and art therapy throughout the nation. And I was thinking somehow I'm not quite ready to approach them, but do you have a syllabus, Jill, for what it is you're doing at Ursuline?
I do. I have the one I sent out, but Jill probably has one for Ursuline.
Yes.
I don't see Jill on here right now.
She's here.
Jill, are you on? Oh,
I'm here.
I don't see her. Okay.
So if
I see Erin. Hi, Erin.
do
Do you have a syllabus, Jill?
Yeah, and we update it every year because with the matrix system and everything, it's like, Gail and I sit down, and I defer to Gail completely because that's part of her job. She knows how that works. I plug in the Mari aspects, and she says, she asks me, I give her what she needs, and we plug it into the syllabus to make it. I mean, Claudia, you probably have. There's an acronyms they're adding now for some kind of culture friendly thing. I don't know.
Well, what I can tell you is, I haven't taught this. I took a sabbatical this past year because I'm still finishing my dissertation. Not yet done. No. I'm close. It will be done this year. You'll be done this year. However, and I'm planning to cut back my university teaching, because I'm going to be 70. I'm sort of shifting my focus here in my life to, I just want to do more and more soul related things.
We're getting younger, Claudia.
I'm getting younger, that's right. But what I can say is, yes, there's always more and more and more things you have to add into everything. Now, it's pretty easy teaching art diagnostic or art interpretive related things to put in cultural things, but it's a huge amount of stuff we just had to fill out again for ADA, with all these different categories that you had to check off and prove that are there in the syllabus. And it takes away time from things like, say, teaching, even a basic great round. I mean, it's really changed. My courses have really had to change over the past 5-6 years. As far as that goes. I mean, I teach a technique that I've developed, and it's a technique. It's not an assessment. It's a technique for moving into art. But, I've been profoundly influenced by Mari, but it's not it's not what I teach per se. Yeah.
But I think it's one of those areas where, if you find inroads to people that are in academia, and willing to work with you.
I mean,
yeah,
the heads
that's
of my
like Paula,
department,
you have
they
some
are
inroads with
totally
people
they're
too,
totally
so.
open to Mari. It's all a matter of them being tied up with the credits they have to deal with.
Yeah.
Because Mari's
And
is a
it's true.
30-hour
You have to
course.
fit it in.
Yeah, that's the issue. It's not that the head of the Pratt department and the head of SVA they're completely into it. That you have great friends in the Pratt and SVA community for Mari or interest in Mari. The problem is their restrictions in terms of what they have to do for the State Department of Education for ADA. That's where they get tied up. I mean, all of the different categories of things they have to make sure they touch in the courses. And what it costs students to go through it, because credits are very expensive here.
But on the other hand, Ursuline somehow is doing it. I mean, they are doing it.
Right. That's right.
It's being done at Ursuline at the very least at this point.
Which, thank goodness for that. Is Edie there? Is Edie on? Is she Lindemann? Are you there?
No.
Is she doing?
She's moving to Asheville, like now, like today.
You're kidding. Well, you guys.
She has a new love in her life, and she's moving with him to Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just wondering if she was able to teach at her university. That's all. Oh well. Okay.
That was a problem. You're right, Claudia. I mean, that she was running into roadblocks there because people were not willing to try and integrate it. And I think that's the big thing. I mean, if you get somebody that's willing to explore and look for avenues to integrate the way Gail has been at Ursuline, it's possible. If you're running into roadblocks,
when I have more free time. When I have more free time, it is possible in the Pratt, New Hampshire program, which I've never had time to go up, that they might do a Mari course in one of those if it's an elective-oriented thing. But I'm not sure about that. I know they're extremely, they're just tied up right now with their credits in terms of trying to satisfy.
And from academia perspective, it'd be like approaching them saying, I want to make EMDR training part of your master's curriculum, and they're saying, oh no, that's a technique. We teach base. I get that. I do see that where if you're equating it to a specific. They
don't feel that way about Mari. They respect and love Mari. Yes, they respect me and they respect that Mari, and they all are familiar, at least to some extent. A number of Pratt teachers have taken at least Mari, initial training. Some from Carol Cox. A long time ago. It's really the way the department is tied up in terms of satisfying the credit, and topic stuff that they need for the state and they need for ADA. That is really more the issue. It's not like they don't think Mari is useful or important or amazing. They do. So it's something
I understand that because I guess it's been at least 2 years now because. We also give NBCC credits, and going through that last renewal process, everything had changed so much.
Oh, it's freaking torture.
It took us, and it took us at least 2 months to redo it, fix it, change it, what they wanted. Oh God, it was awful.
Yeah, and that's yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to go.
Left brain.
I'm going to have to go. The meeting is recording, so if you guys want to keep going, and anyone who's not here will have the recording available.
Okay.
But yeah, I think just to go back to the international teaching, Maria, point taken. We need to challenge anyone who wants to train more teachers needs to at least show Mari some evidence that we need teachers. And if you're not, give us. I mean, if Patricia or Felipe can make an argument that, well, if I have this teacher, I'm going to be able to add on, 15 or 20 more practitioners a year that I can't do right now. In Philippe's situation, I see that because he's a doctor. He's busy in the emergency room doing what he does. And yet he did do his teacher's training. I mean, it took him almost 2 years, but he did complete it, and he's wonderful. His wife would be more able to, focus on the teaching part of it, and they would teach in tandem. I get that, but show me in an exception basis, not just open the floodgates, hey, we're open to having anybody and everybody teach, anybody who has someone interested.
No, no,
That's
no,
not
no,
gonna
no, no,
happen.
no.
No, that's
no.
not going to happen. It's an exception basis only, and it would be like a separate contract similar to what we're doing now with people that are running their own websites in their countries. So we have, Mari Brazil, Mari Canada, Mari Russia. That's all a separate contract. And Gina's talking about Mari Germany. There's a lot of responsibility that goes with that. So, it would be an exception only, and certainly working with us to do that. Just touch base real quick. Make sure you get all your paperwork in if you've taught somebody this year, so I can get them on the master list. So I harp on this every year, but it is really important to keep that continuity of everyone who we have trained and where they are, if they finished practitioner. Even if you're running your own country's website, we still need that information to include on our main document. And the other thing is, we ran into it a little earlier this year, and this was, my bad too. We do have teachers that have translated into their own language. And we also recognize that we have teachers that do have cross-cultural connections. I know Evie has connections in Mexico and some of the South American countries. Gina does as well. Diane has connections in Asia. And Glennery has connections in Asia. So we could be looking at people crossing into other people's potential territories. And if you have a population that's requesting you in an area that we have a teacher, we just need to make sure we're mindful of that, coordinating with them. If we are using a language, rather than, these teachers have spent time and for no compensation to translate their manuals into their native language. So if I'm going to Brazil and teaching a course, or Russia and teaching a course, and I need to coordinate with Maria to make sure I'm getting the Russian manuals, so she's able to get at least something back for what time and effort she's put into that translation. In addition to, Mari still gets the copyright. We get the copyright for every manual, but, the additional fees would be whatever it costs that teacher to produce the manual, and, be able to get a little bit back on the time and effort they've put into that, if that's something that they want to. So just even coordinating with that. Just being mindful that we are growing, and if we're crossing into other territories, we're not, most people are saying, great, you have a population here, let me help you coordinate it, because that adds to their group too. I mean, we had Gina teaching in Brazil, and everyone that becomes a practitioner in Brazil will be part of Mari Brazil for Patricia at that point. So she's increasing her group in Brazil. That's a good thing. That's a happy thing. We just need to make sure we're coordinating that. So, and I'm more than happy to help coordinate with that too. So, all right.
Thanks, Jill.
I'll leave the line open. I'm just gonna go away.
And a Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So you
Thank
guys go
you,
ahead and
Jill.
talk
Okay,
as much
bye.
as you want to.
Oh, okay, Sherry, you leaving too?
Yeah, Claudia,
Okay.
I've got to leave too.
Okay. All right. Thank you for checking in.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Yes.
And Glennery, are you on there?
Yes.
Yes, I'm here, but I cannot get myself on a
Can you
camera
put the
today.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to mention, welcome, Glennery. Carla, why don't you just tell the group the two things you're doing coming up?
Okay.
That's good. That's spreading the
very
word.
exciting. So I've got I was accepted by the International Expressive Art Therapy Association to present on a process that I've created with Stage Zero and using the Zen Enso. It was an idea I had a few years ago to introduce people to pairing a symbol with and I actually at Lilydale shared this with people too, with a color, and amplifying the meaning of that as a way to introduce them to the idea of the Mari process. And so I'm going to be presenting this in the end of March in Phoenix, Arizona at the conference, the Expressive Therapies Conference, for 3 hours. And that will give me a chance to do the experiential and then talk about Mari. And last night, I just got an acceptance letter for the Association for Deaf Education and Counseling, which I've been a part of for many years. And I'll be presenting at their annual conference in Columbus, Ohio on May 1st. And I have like 2 hours to do that. So I'm going to be doing the same process with people, and then handing out, I have these, I'm just going to reach back here and grab it for those who can see, because I've got one. I have these beautiful little square brochures with a mandala and kind of stage 0 type stuff, and information about contacting, and on here, this is really beautiful. The word mandala has many different meanings, but one of the meanings of the Sanskrit meanings of the word translates as essence container. Manda meaning essence, and la meaning container. So it's very Zen, it's very simple, but then has the contact information for people. And I'm just going to be handing these out to as many people as I can, and hopefully generating some interest in practitioner with those groups.
Great.
Sounds
So
good. Good luck.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I go to ADEC every year, and I've never presented there, so it's a really great opportunity for me to have that experience as well. And that is for people who are thanatologists. I'm a certified thanatologist, and that is in the area of death, dying, grief, and bereavement education. And so I've also developed the ENSO process as a way of, well, I talk about taking a break from grief, taking that blissful step to the right brain, which gives us, in the work of grieving, it gives us a break. And also the ENSO creates a container that can then hold us in that spaciousness in the center. And I do a visualization for people to enter that space and just be held there. And the reason that emerged was we had a beloved cat who died tragically, and my daughter was really struggling with it around the time that I was working with the ENSO Circle, and I ended up doing this with her and had it was a beautiful experience. So that's really what I'm going to be at the Death Education Conference focusing on, is that taking a step to the right in the Mari process, taking a break from our grief work, and talking a little bit about Jill Bolt Taylor's work. She's a neuroanatomist who had a stroke. And
Stroke of insight.
a stroke of insight. It's beautiful, simple,
beautiful.
very, very clear to explain to people that, that we can intentionally take that step, but that the Mari instrument leads the way in that process.
I did write to her years ago. Never heard back from her.
She was actually recommended to me by a shaman when I was in Peru in the Amazon jungle drinking tobacco. This Tabacero shaman came to me and he said, you need to read this book. And I thought, oh no, does that mean I'm going to have a stroke? But it wasn't that at all. This has really been very, very guiding for the intentional work and explaining to people why we do what we do. And also, I'm exploring more and more theta states of brainwaves. And I've seen the correlations between color and brainwave that I'm starting to understand more now as well. And I think this is another very important, I don't know which article it was where it might have been the Thayer interview where Joan Kellogg said, Mari will continue to evolve. She started out with it as being more of an assessment instrument. It was a psychological tool to be able to quantify and qualify what was happening in the mandalas. But now I think the way it's really evolving is it is a process
Yes.
of transformation. And that, Shelley, you started that. Mari as a therapeutic instrument,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the therapeutic shift. And now to continue to extend that with what we know, what's emerging with the fascinating brain studies, research studies, to support this as a transformative process, not just an assessment tool, and an ongoing process that we can continue to do with guidance from our deeper and higher self, not Mari sessions, but guidance sessions. And to articulate that this isn't tarot, this is a way for our self that cannot access language centers of the brain to be able to communicate. That's just so exciting. What do we have? Sand play is one way that the deeper self can communicate, but it is not bridged with words. And that's the thing that is so exciting about Mari, is that bridge happens because we've got the words on, right there in front of people. We've got these words. It's throwing them into their left brain after a right brain experience. And it's creating that bridge through the translation of the interpretation section of the manual as well. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with all this. I just start going and I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
Well,
Shelley,
congratulations, Carla. Congratulations. Good girl.
it's going to
Reminds
be
me of
fun.
what I was doing 10 years ago, going here, going there. How about the rest of you, Erin, Gina? And I did hear what you were saying before I, showed up on the camera, Maria. Anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, Gina,
Any
we
com-
can't.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Can you push the little microphone?
Nope.
I think now try talking.
Now, how much
No, we can't hear you.
closed? Gina's
Now you hear me? Now
Yes.
you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, great. I would like to connect with this person who was training the Marine Asia, because I also trained in Hong Kong, and the colors have a very different meaning for the people in Asia than for
Yes.
us. And I would like to investigate that and do some more research about.
Every color, Gina? Are you saying every
Not
color?
every color, but like the orange and the red and the yellow. Not every color. Some
Yeah,
colors
right.
have a different meaning.
I am aware of
I
that,
would like,
and you can disagree with me here, but on this. But when you follow the into the depth of meaning, it seems like this similarities almost on the evolutionary or biological level. Can you give me an example of one that you?
in the moment I'm in Hong Kong and I'm teaching guided imaging music, so I'm so much in my mind with the music that I would need longer time to think.
I can actually speak to. So I lived in China.
Okay, go.
Yeah, for 6 years or 6 months, and in Vietnam for a year, and the association with red is very powerful, right? And like, even I couldn't have red sheets on my bed unless I was married. And look, I'm wearing red, talking about red. But to keep in mind that it is collective, right? It's a collective experience, but it's also a conscious level association. So it is, we all still bleed red. And also, if you think about colors in terms of the wavelength that is created,
Yes.
red goes outward, right? It is why we have red stop signs. It gets attention. Red wants attention. It wants to be noticed. And that's the association to the root chakra. It isn't that chakra is that color. It's that focusing on the vibration of that color activates that connection to the life force.
Okay.
So I think the way I would deal with this is with acknowledging that we have conscious level associations and levels of associations,
Yes.
as well as the collective, but that we all experience, the body-based colors, the biological colors, and to think
There's
about it.
biological.
Yeah, but the wavelengths of color are very important, and whereas blue recedes and it's a very calm and smooth wave, they're experiencing this no matter if they've been taught that red is royalty, and purple. I think that the associations with purple may actually be more similar in Asia. I might be wrong, but we have to keep in mind purple has red in it and blue.
Yeah.
So it's that integration, and that has that royal kind of vibration to it. But very interesting topic and worthy of exploration. And I think definitely your Asian students will be able to articulate the conscious level meaning of that color, as well as the meaning for the culture. Yeah?
But it makes sense what you say, that to look on a wavelength level. Thank you. That is a good explanation now. I could pass it on. Great idea.
Okay. How about
And
you,
I want to
Erin?
share something else, about the teacher training. I think Mari is a very difficult tool. It needs that somebody has a background. It cannot be a newcomer. It has to be somebody who can ask proper questions with a basic professional background in counseling or psychology or something. So that is reducing the number of people who can study it. It cannot be anybody just like, a hairdresser or a cosmetic person who would not be able to do this amount.
Oh, no.
That is the thing why we have less students, because you need very qualified students.
Yes.
Well, certainly to be a teacher, you have to have a master's and an understanding
Exactly.
of yes.
But depending what kind of teacher you are, if you teach history, you might need to grow a lot to work with Mari.
Are you saying about practitioners, Gina?
About practitioners, practitioners really have to have a solid background of counseling or knowing a lot about society to be able to do with Mari.
When we get into, this is the way I have felt, and you've been to Lilydale, there are many people who have an understanding of psychology on an energetic level there,
okay.
but aren't necessarily have that much training. Don't necessarily. But believe
I
me,
didn't
there's some.
realize that Lilydale. I felt everybody was perfectly trained.
Yes, very much so. So, to be on that level, just to be able to identify with what's going on, and some of my best students have been people who do not have PhDs or masters, but they get it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Especially, my milieu is Lilydale, so.
Well, usually I don't have the problem because my people come in from GIM. So to be allowed into GMs, I need to have a psychological background. This is all my population coming in from GM. And there are hardly practices in Maurice. I only do it with GM clients.
How long are you in Hong Kong, Gina?
Now for 4 days, I teach a level 1 in guided imagery and music.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Another one, again.
It must be wonderful to be there around Christmas time with all the. Are there lots of decorations and Mickey Mouse?
Yeah. I'm fighting with the icy cold air condition in the teaching room. It's always so cold.
Oh, no. That's bad. How about you, Erin?
This year it's been a year of transitions for me. So I've been doing more teaching within the context of church, Christian faith communities, not only with clergy, but also with my spiritual directees that I've been working with. and using that as a therapeutic, spiritual therapeutic tool. I come to the Mari, the mandala, from a spiritual perspective. I kind of begin there and then branch out. And my background is also psychology, so it's both, as well as death and dying and spiritual formation. So it's been just been a process. I've been slow moving. I'm hoping in 2020 I'll do more teaching practitioners, particularly here in the Valley in California.
Erin, have you used Mari with actively dying people?
I haven't, because I've been working with hospice for 10 years, and they haven't. I've done it a couple of times, but by the time I'm working with them, they're too far advanced to be able to do the process. What I have done is work with the caregivers, and that has been positive for them, giving them a framework, what you said, a container to deal with feelings and transition.
Beautiful. Grievers would be another area, working with grievers.
Yes.
And there is a chapter written in a book on expressive therapies for grief. I don't know if I have it. Oh, yeah, I do. Using the creative therapies to cope with grief and loss.
Okay.
It's under a big stack here. Let me just...
Why don't you email me the title? Could you do that, Carla?
Well, yep. Wow. It's right here if you want to write it down.
Okay, go ahead.
Using the creative therapies to cope with grief and loss by Stephanie Brooke, the editors, and Dorothy Miraglia, Miraglia. But there's a whole chapter on Mari, and it's written by Shelley. You know this. Oh, it's Evie's chapter. Evie. And she wrote this chapter 4 is a healing practice for grief and loss. And she had a case study with someone, a soldier with PTSD.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Could you tell me the name of the book again? Using creative.
How is that we can take a photo, maybe? Wait a moment, I put on my camera.
Creative therapy to cope with grief.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So a lot more I need to do a lot more in that area too.
Yes. And again, I'm hoping 2020 will be more productive, but I've just been in transition this year from a number of things going on simultaneously.
Me too, actually.
No, I would like to say goodbye because already 20 past 12 o'clock at night and I need to teach tomorrow.
Okay.
Again. So I got a lot of great ideas from listening to you.
It's wonderful to
Looking
see
forward
you
to
all.
next meeting.
Have happy holidays with your little son, Maria. He's not so little anymore, huh? He's how old? 6?
He is 6, and he's learning English.
All right. Have a wonderful holiday, ladies. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy New
Bye-bye.
Year.
Yeah, to all.
Thank you. You too.
Let us meet more often. Let us think about it, or at least.
Yeah, I agree, Maria.
Yes.
I agree.
Paula.
I agree. And I'll tell Jill.
That was wonderful.
Bye.
See you next year.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I will send
Bye-bye.
the record because it is on my computer.